Hey guys, today I'm going to be ranking all of the palettes that I tested in 2023, and honestly I forgot about this video because it didn't make it into my December-January videos, and then I saw Karen Harris do hers and I was like, right. And I thought about not doing it, but it just sort of fell nicely into my schedule for this month, so hopefully you guys are still interested. I tried out 25 palettes in 2023, which I'm feeling so thankful for the fact that it's only 25 because I can't imagine how long it took Karen and other ladies like Angelica to sort that and try to figure it out. So I was able to just make a list on my phone. I rearranged it a bit and things could definitely still move. The way I ranked these was based on formula, but there's only a few formulas here that I really didn't like. And then it was just which palette I was more excited about, or sometimes it was which palette I was getting the most use out of. And if I remember, I will try to link some of my favorite makeup of the days with each of these palettes down below. I know I won't be able to do all the links, but if you are interested in seeing close-ups and details of the makeup looks that I do, definitely follow me on Instagram. I do a makeup of the day every time I film. So without further ado, let's get into it. So coming in last place would be the Lawless, the lavender one palette. I'm so lucky I got this one in PR and was able to test it for free because unfortunately it was not great. I have not really heard good things about like any of the Lawless palettes. A couple of them I've heard some people say are all right. I know that Samantha March has liked some of them, and it's just Steph has liked the palette in the past, but this one was just not good. And I know with pastel purple shades it can be super hard to formulate, but there are brands that have done it well, like Kaleidos, and I just felt like even though I'm very pale, I had an extremely hard time trying to build these. Even when using more of a dense brush, they looked patchy. They were just like fluffing off of my skin. And even with the shimmers, I think there was one that was fine, but the other shimmers were super dry, which is ridiculous. And honestly, with all the amazing even drugstore affordable eyeshadows out there, especially shimmers, like what the heck, Lawless, I have no idea how they were like, yep, this is great. It wasn't. I feel like if the shimmers were a little more impressive, I would have liked the palette more, but just overall totally a pass. And unless Lawless comes out with a palette in the future where I hear amazing reviews, I'm not really feeling like I want to give them a try compared to all of the other amazing brands and formulas there are. Then at number 23 and 24, we have the newest Kaja Bento eyeshadow stacks. There was Peach Sunrise and Forest Night. I like Peach Sunrise a little bit better than Forest Night, but I did not like that they changed the formula for these two particular stacks. So the top shade was a very thick, chunky, shimmer-esque. I had a hard time applying it with a brush, but even with my finger, it was just like so chunky. It looked scaly and thick on my lid. It didn't look like amazing metallic. It looked like I had way too much product. It was not cute. Then the middle shade was just their classic shimmer, which I thought was very good. And then on the bottom was a matte with glitter. You guys know I cannot stand that formula no matter what brand it is. I don't understand why people do that because I don't really feel like it helps the eyeshadows blend any better. And it creates the biggest mess in the palette, sometimes on your face as well. I cannot stand it. And this did the same thing. It was just a freaking mess. I did not like the way that it applied. I don't feel like it looked like I had glitter on my eyes from the matte shade, but I just couldn't stand working with it. And it was so disappointing because if it would have been their regular matte formula, their other regular shimmer formula, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. At number 22, I believe, is the last palette that I don't have, Natasha Denona Mini Sunset. I decided to sell this one and it is just like too blah and boring. I think if you like more warm tones, that this would be a great everyday palette for someone. I love that there is more of like a light medium transition color and a medium matte, so that you know, for my skin tone, I do have like transition crease outer corner for me out of those two mattes. And I do think they did a good job picking 3 different colors of shimmer. I really love like the ratio of the shimmer to matte and the depths of everything in that palette. If I had a much smaller collection, I think that would have been great. I would have loved holding on to it. I think the quality is really good, but I just have way too many similar palettes that are a little bit punchier, especially with like the shimmer formula, because that's a great shimmer, but I love a metallic. I love something that's a little bit more creamy or wet almost feeling, and that's just okay. Then at number 21, I have this little mini holiday Pat McGrath palette. This is Nude Allure. In here you have 1 matte and 4 shimmers. I think this is very beautiful. I think the quality is really nice, but I did not need this. I really kind of jumped the gun and got this when it was like 25% off or something, when this definitely went up to like 40% off later. So I wish I held my horses, but I hadn't really bought much from Pat McGrath, so I wasn't aware. But I did much better from this holiday season. If you guys know, I got the face palettes about half off and her face and eye palette half off as well. So I held out, so glad. But I think the quality of these are really nice. I did not need this at all. I was just so excited to get a Pat McGrath palette that was discounted. I thought I would use all the shades, and I totally would. But again, I have way too big of a collection to have this simple of a color story, but I don't think the quality is bad. Then at number 21, we have the last palette that I'm sort of disappointed by, and the top 20 are ones that I do really like, the formulas, the colors. I just had to choose to rank them in some certain place. So coming in at the last palette I'm disappointed by, the Oden's Eye and Makeup Just for Fun Flora Story palette. I love the packaging. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. You've got 10 lovely shades in here. There are 5 shimmers, 5 mattes. I really do like that ratio. I love this color Dawn. It's a really cool, shifty multi-chrome. And I think that the shimmers in here are really great. I don't like the mattes. The more neutral one here, Shroom, worked pretty well, but these other ones I found to be very patchy. I feel like they would not adhere to my eye. They were not blending nicely. They were looking muddy. They were puffing away. So I was incredibly disappointed by these mattes. However, I would like to use this palette more, and I think I'd be fine if I just stuck with these mattes on the lower lash line, and I'm okay with that. I can pull in another palette to use with these. I thought about getting rid of this one, but I just can't do it. I want to have this for that collector's sake, and I really do love purples and olives. So I know that it sounds like this one should be ranked lower than this one, but I do still really like some of the shades in here a lot, and I just can't do it. So I will be hanging on to that one, but I was really disappointed with that, and it was really the first time I'd seen some more duds from Oden's Eye, but at the same time I had not tried much from them before that point. Okay, sorry, I was wrong. This was number 20, so the top 19 I really do recommend based on your color preferences. At 19, we have the Sigma Alice in Wonderland palette. I held out until I was able to get this one pretty discounted, and the reason this is so low is because I've not really used the more blue and greens over here. I've just used these more warm toned shades over here. I absolutely love the looks that I created with them though. I love an olive, I love a copper, as you can see from my lid today. And I think that these 6 shades are amazing. I think I want to do another video on like palettes that I wish I could turn into mini palettes, because if I can make a 6-pan mini, I think I would reach for this way more than I am. But that's why I made myself wait until I could get this really discounted, because I knew I wasn't going to use these shades that much, but I just have not used them at all. So that's what I want to make myself do. I know that Sigma has a really great formula though. I love their mattes. I think they're very easy to work with. And for their shimmers, sometimes there will be like a little bit of like a sparkly, more dimensional shade, but for the most part, they are just like a classic shimmer. They have a nice amount of shine, but I wouldn't quite call them like super metallic. At 18, we have the Oden's Eye Solmon 2. I love that there are 15 shades in here. I really love this size of palette. It fits easily in my drawer standing up, where I have some issue with the square palettes. But I think this is really cool how they did like a row of blues, a row of purples, and this more warm tone row with a black. And I think that this is fantastic. The colors are beautiful. They all perform very well. I do think that these more pastel-y mattes did still like build and blend very nicely. I really love a couple of these shimmers in particular. However, I just don't use blues very much. This is like very orange, very yellow for me. So something I'm happy to have, but I'm just not going to use as much as some of my other palettes. At 17, we have It's Bill Cosmetics Cool Summer. And this is a stunning palette that I am excited to use again this summer. Of course, I liked the top row the best. You guys might know that I really love these more peachy shades. And I didn't use every color in here, but I did use a lot of them. Again, I love the purple shimmers. I think everything performed very well, but you guys know I don't go super bright. So this is something that I was excited to have to give me some variety, but something that I'm not going to reach for as much as my others, but very good formula and a really pretty color story. At number 16, we have the Adept Cosmetics Minka palette. So you have got 10 shimmers and 2 mattes. I do like the mattes that they chose, although this one is very light and this one is very dark, so you probably will need to do like a little bit of mixing or pull in other mattes. And I think these are really pretty. These two are more sorry if the lighting is throwing off by the packaging. These are 2 more multi-chromes. I think these are really nice. Adept is a very unique formula. Out of all of the shades here, these are the ones that feel the most wet. They apply best with your finger. But because they are so multi-dimensional, I find that I need to swatch the eyeshadows that I want to wear on my hand to make sure that they're actually going to look good together, because sometimes the mattes I think are going to go nice with this, I put on the shimmer and I'm like, whoa, I don't love that. So that's just something that is like a multi-chrome thing, so I'm going to have to play with. But up here you have more of like metallic metal type of shades, and I just don't reach for those type of colors as much as others, but this is a great palette that I'm really happy to have. I just feel like Adept requires like a little finesse. Then I have my 3 Natasha Denona palettes. I had a hard time figuring out where to put these because I really did enjoy some of the looks that I came up with, but I don't necessarily think the color stories are as unique, or the formula, especially shimmers, is like as wabam as some of these other brands, so that's why they fell where they did. But I do think these are still wonderful. So I have Yucca at 15, I Need a Nude at 14, and My Dream at 13. And for Yucca, one of the things that I don't like is that to me this smells like French fry oil that Angelica says that the Kosas bronzer smell like. This smells like that. You have got 2 creamy mattes in here. This deep shade, which is fine, I just use that on my lower lash line. But then you have this transition color, which I have had like the worst time trying to apply to my eye. I cannot stand this creamy matte formula. My friend Jean has figured out how to work with it and really enjoys it. I just haven't. I think that was, again, so dumb to do in such a light shade like this. So please let me know what specific brushes that you use with this to pick it up. But that was like a huge negative for me. There's also more mattes in here than shimmers, which I know some people like. I prefer more shimmers. I do think that some of the shades are a little bit repetitive here. Like these 2 colors in particular look pretty similar, but I do think they did a decent job mixing it up. I really loved a lot of the looks that I created with this palette. So it is still a good one. Happy to have it, but I think it's something that people could pass on just because of how pricey it is if you don't think you would use these shades a ton. And then we had the I Need a Nude palette, and I was sort of hoping to love this one a little bit more. There are a couple different formulas in here. You've got some metallics in here that are a little bit like thicker and creamier, which is my favorite. That would be like Muse and Filigree. Then you've got some just like other classic shimmers, and then you've got some more toppery, glittery type of shades, Delilah, Sheen, and Mia. And these remind me actually of like the middle shimmer shade in the Kaja stack. So they are like a thinner formula, still pigmented, and have that shimmery, glittery sparkle, which is very pretty. So I do like the different shimmer formulas that they put in here. And I cannot remember if there's any creamy mattes, but I want to say no, which makes me happy. But I would love for all of the shimmers to have that extra creamy formula. I really love the shade Muse. And then for the mattes, you guys know Wit, vague. They were just the business for me. I think that Stone, Tender, and Mesh were all very similar. I think there could have been a color in between Vague and Silhouette. There really should have been something in here that was deeper. Take away one of these 3 shades, add a deeper color. So I think that they could have improved in that way, but I did like the looks that I created with that palette. And then we've got my favorite, the My Dream palette. There is a matte black in here, which I'm not going to use, but I think it makes a lot of sense why it's in here. These 2 shades are creamy mattes, which is fine with me. These are great lower lash line colors, and I think I may have used a fluffy brush and used it in my outer corner and it worked fine, but definitely great lower lash line. This is a multi-chrome, which is amazing and so beautiful, and I really enjoy everything else in here. These are more of like the satin shimmers, and then these are a little bit more metallic and fun. I love the matte, so just really happy with the formula and the color story with this one. Then at number 12 and 11, I have some Kaleidos Futurism palettes. I had a hard time ranking these because with each of them, I only come up with 2 looks. Both of them have more of a wearable look and then a more intense look. So I had a really hard time figuring out what to put where. So I just ranked this one a little bit lower because I felt that, you know, my second look was a little bit less wearable. I know that is, you know, people don't like that term, but here is Electro Turquoise. Amazing, very pigmented and blendable. Even this shade here I found to build up very nicely. I think Kaleidos does just such a good job with their palettes. And then we have Astro Pink. I use all the shades except for this glittery black shade. And I would just love to see Kaleidos go back to doing more of this. I want bigger palettes. I don't want the quads. All the quads that they have released look so similar. I just don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're catering to more of a K-beauty audience and skin tone. I just don't really know, but they make such good quality palettes, and it's so sad these are being discontinued. I don't know if they're still in stock or not. If they are, I would definitely recommend checking them out. I think that they're really great quality and very pretty colors. Now we are in the top 10, and I did have a hard time here. I still feel like there were some things that could have moved around, but I went back and forth between, like, I know there were a couple looks I fell in love with. There's nice variety in this palette versus things where I was like, I would get more use out of this color story. So I just highly recommend this top 10, and they could all sort of move about. So at number 10, we have the Kaja Peach Madeline stack. This is amazing. This is my favorite formula that they have. So the top shade is more of a chunkier shimmer, but this is not as thick as the newer ones they released. I think that this gives like a perfect amount of metallic sheen, a perfect amount of thickness on the lid. Then you have their standard shimmer, which reminds me of those more toppery colors from Natasha. I Need a Nude, and I just think this is again a very beautiful shade. It has a good amount of reflect to it. And then you have just a true matte pinky peach here, which just performs so well, looks so beautiful. I really enjoyed using this over the spring. I can't wait to use it again, having a pastel liner on my waterline, pop on some mascara. This is just so beautiful and brightening. At number 9, I have the Fantasy Cosmetica Rogue palette. There are 9 shades in here, 4 shimmers, 5 mattes. I would have loved to see one more shimmer because I am a shimmer girl, and I think that this shade I had a little bit of trouble with. I really did need to build that up. For me, these deeper colors are lower lash line shades for sure, but these metallics are insane. They are so multi-dimensional, and I really love the looks I created with these. They just, oh my gosh, are so incredible on the lid. So that's why this made my top 10, was because of those incredible shimmers. Then at number 8, surprisingly, is the Adept Cosmetics House of L palette. This was limited edition. You got 6 shimmers, 3 mattes, and these are all very like bold out there colors, but I absolutely fell in love with some of the looks that I created, and I really like the formula of these. All of the matte shades are really great, pigmented, blendable. I just absolutely fell head over heels with a few looks in particular. They stood out to me. I remember them without having to like go through my Instagram makeup of the day, so that's why this bumped up there, even though it is really out of my comfort zone color wise. Then at number 7 from It's Belle Cosmetics, we have the Pixie Grove palette. I really thought all the shades performed well except for this pastel color Fairy Wings. I used more of a dense brush and tried to build it up, and I had a hell of a time. But everything else I think is amazing. You've got some really pretty, more like multi-chrome, duochrome, light shades. I really thought this color performed very well, where sometimes these can go a little bit muddy on me. I was just very impressed with the color story here. I think that these shades go together nicely without being monochromatic at all, and I did really like some of the looks that I created. One of them was a recreation from my makeup garden, I believe, and that look was incredible. It was featuring the Early Morning shade and Enchanted, which is a bit of a multi-chrome, so really happy with this formula and color story. And then this was the one where I felt like moving this around a bit. At number 6, I had Sigma's new mod. I really like more mauve-y, cool tone type of shades, and I think that these were just beautiful. This is a duochrome color here, and I know that this shimmer formula is not as amazing as a lot of these others, so I feel like, I don't know, now I think I want to like switch these, but maybe I should actually just bump this below these ones too, because these are more special and I have a similar color story ranked higher. So we will do 9, 8, 7, 6. Moving around the ranking in the moment, but again, I think this is just phenomenal quality. I think Sigma has very good quality, and even though they're not necessarily a mainstream brand, I would say that it has more of a mainstream eyeshadow formula. So then the top 5. At number 5, we have the Oden's Eye Merry Christmas palette, a really fun variety of colors in here. I would not really get the most use out of these, more lime greens or the black, or this bright pink. But everything else I really would get a lot of use out of. I love the look that I created with these 3 shades here. I just think that this is a really fun, special palette. I thought about ranking this one a little bit lower because I wasn't going to use all the shades, but no, I'm not, you get it. I like my top 10. I'm not moving this around anymore. I really like that one. At number 4, we have Fantasy Cosmetica Bard. I love, there are 5 shimmers, 4 mattes, and I love the layout. I love just the shimmers in the middle and the mattes in the corners. I used all of the shades in here, I believe. Incredible formula, really nice and metallic. You guys know I love my more warm tone shade, so this is a perfect fall palette for me. And then this top 3 was very hard to rank. So at number 3, we have the What's Up Beauty Dragon Eye palette. I fell in love with a lot of the looks that I created here. I used every single shade. These are just so amazing. I'm so excited to see what other palettes they come out with. Such incredible formula, stunning, stunning shades. I love the variety here, but it doesn't look like a random mismatch. Oh, you have to have that one. So good. Number 2 would be the only Sugar Drizzle palette I have. This is Sugar Dream. So 9 pastel duochrome shimmers, which is amazing to me. I have enough mattes. I'm totally fine with an all shimmer palette. I know Karen, that's not her fave, but I love it. And there were a couple of these looks that blew me away. And oh, I cannot wait to use it again this spring. You do have some oil seepage here. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, I prefer it to not, but I'm trying to look past it. At number 1, we have got the Give Me Glow 2 Moods palette. It's funny to me that my top 3 palettes are from brands where I only own 1 palette. But this is incredible. The only thing I don't like about this is how big it is. It is incredibly hard to store. I have to store it flat, which I do in like my bottom drawer with a couple other really big palettes, really big square palettes. And I don't like doing that. I feel like I am not going to see them as easily as ones I can have on their side. So you have 16 Giganto pans in here. I know that Give Me Glow is trying to rebrand a bit and go smaller, which I think is a great idea because this is just too much eyeshadow for us. But I love though that you have 4 basically quads in here of all different like undertones here of, this is more warm, you got more pink, more purple, more of like a lighter, cooler purple. And the metallics in here are very foiled and metallic looking. These are so beautiful. And you know, the reason I bumped down that Sigma Nu Mod is because this gives me similar colors but a more impressive formula. This is just so beautiful and definitely makes me want to try more Gimme Glow. I thought about buying some of their singles when they were on sale, but I just don't use singles enough. But if you see them swatch, like, they're incredible. The mattes are so pigmented, so I definitely need to be careful on my skin tone, but I highly recommend. So guys, those are my thoughts on all of the eyeshadow palettes that I tried in 2023. I would love to hear your thoughts if you've tried these. And as I said, and as you saw, quite a bit of shifting in that top 10 especially, but I would love to know what palettes you tried out for the first time in 2023 and what your thoughts were on them. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.